We'll call to order the regular council meeting of Tuesday, March 4th at 6 p.m. in Cayce City Hall chambers. The press and public have been notified according to the Freedom of Information Act.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. I believe Councilmember
Mayor Pro Tem James.
okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem James has our invocation this evening.
So before we go to prayer, I just wanted to point out and take a moment to celebrate one of the very newest members of the city of Cayce, and that is our Mary Blythe Thomas. Proud daddy sits up here. He and Rebecca both gave birth to this baby last week, and here he sits tonight. We're reminded in Psalms 127, behold, children are a blessing. It's a gift from God to be able to have a child. Congratulations to you guys. Let's go in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we first just come into you saying thank you so very much for Mary Blythe. Thank you for putting her in the hands of such wonderful parents. Father God, just thank you for placing her right here in this beautiful city to be able to grow up and to maybe even one day raise her very own family right here and to establish memories. We thank you for generations that continue to grow this city and the beautiful city that it is and that it will continue to be. Father God, I thank you for the members of this council, those in attendance tonight, and most importantly, those that serve us every single day as the employees of the city. Please guide us and direct us in all we say and do tonight, and everything we do. All the goodness we know comes from you. It's in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You have before you a request to approve the minutes from the February 4th and the February 19th council meetings.
We approve both sets of minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Councilmember Socks.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, thank you, so moved. We have public comment regarding items on the agenda.
We have one person signed up, Mr. Gerald Cromer, for item 4A.
Thank you.
Good evening to Mayor and Council and the new father. I'd like to make one brief comment. Just bear with me one moment. I'll try not to ramble on. I'd like to comment about the mayor's comments last month, which I thoroughly endorse, about the city being in lean times and handing out extra money for a job that was probably already established. The city has a job and a criteria for the pay, but come along and increase that. I know quite a number of city employees were not very happy when they didn't get a cost of living, but yet you can take higher echelon and boost them salaries up that they already have. Looking at the new maps, most of you, first off, as most of you probably realize, I wasn't here last time. Some of you probably thought I had died at my age. Older than a lot of you. I'm in the 4% bracket. And I almost did die last Sunday. I was in Belize, Central America, doing missionary work. And I had food poisoning. And had I not had people that looked after me with IVs and a lot of prayers there and a lot of prayers here, I wouldn't be here today. But last Sunday afternoon, about this time, I was able to stand up. Prior to that, I was incapacitated. But I'm here. I'm going to continue to be here as long as I can get around. I've been here a long, long time. And as y'all know, I don't normally miss too many meetings. I'm the guy that takes notes and read all the white papers that sometimes I wonder, maybe y'all didn't read, because some of the questions come up. I said, had they read the white paper, they'd know that answer. Anyway, I'd like for you guys to consider a couple of things. It's always easy to spend money, other people's money. Just keep that in the back of your mind. It's always easy to make decisions that affect other people and maybe not yourself. You all have a job. Do it, and you get to keep it. That's words from an old man who sees the light at the end of the tunnel. Looking at the new map, I see my neighborhood has gone from about 20% being moved over to District 2. I listened and watched the last council meeting from Belize on my cell phone. So I listened to what everybody had to say. And everybody was moaning and groaning about being sure the neighbors understand and get it involved or know what's going on and being notified about the changing of the districts. My letter, and several of my neighbors I talked to, came yesterday. Here it is on the agenda tonight. Everybody that I talked to, which was about 8 people, when did you get your letter? Yesterday. Great notification, pre-notification. I hate to say that most of the people in my neighborhood have no idea who to call when there's a problem at City Hall. Most of them have no idea who their councilman is. That's a shame. I would think somewhere along the line, and it has been in the past, the councilman, councilperson, however it's correct nowadays, I don't know, would reach out to people that's been in the community for a period of time that at one time or another was involved with meetings and such. But nobody recently has ever reached out to us. Some of the comments, they feel like the person that represents District 2 will not know and get the same treatment from the people that's coming in from District 3. There's a different mindset there. Who would think if the person in District 3 was concerned about his citizens, he would have reached out to the people also involved with this change and tried to form some sort of a meeting with people to tell them what's going on. It didn't happen.
Mr. Kramer.
Okay. I would like for y'all to vote no. I don't approve. Broadacres is cut up even worse. It's probably about 75% now over to 2 rather than 3. I don't like what you guys have done. Maybe I'm too old to be here, but as long as I can make it, I'm going to be here and take notes.
Thank you, Mr. Cromer. No one else? Thank you. Okay, we have a presentation by Mr. Carol Williamson of Stewart Engineering on the rewrite of the city's zoning ordinance and land development regulations.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. I'm Carol Williamson with Stewart Engineering, and tonight also I hold the title as former planning director for the city, so it's great to be back in a place that I love and people that I love working with. So we're very grateful for this opportunity. Back in December, you approved the agreement to hire Stewart Engineering to update the city's zoning ordinance and land development regulations, which has been long overdue, and I commend you all for taking this step. And so tonight, what I'd like to do is just kind of introduce Stewart Engineering and our team, and also kind of give you an overview of what we're going to be doing, and then get some feedback from y'all if y'all have some general guidance as we move forward. So since I was last here, y'all have much fancier screens there, so I feel like y'all can follow along pretty closely, probably see the screen better than I can. But so I just want to introduce the team, go over the process and our schedule, talk about the roles that the Planning Commission and City Council are going to play throughout this process. This land development and zoning ordinance kind of dovetails right off of the comprehensive plan that you approved back in 2021. So I'm going to go over some of those goals that were directly related to land use. So that we're, in essence, this zoning ordinance update is fulfilling the goals that you approved in that comprehensive plan in 2021. We have looked at the existing zoning framework. We're continuing to assess it, but kind of show you a kind of an overview of what we've got so far, and some areas that and then talk about some key issues and what we're going to focus on, and then finally talk about the next steps and get some feedback from you for any guidance you have. So for Stewart, Jake Petrosky is the community planning practice leader. I'm the planning manager. We also have Andrea Radford, who's part of Stewart, but we also are teaming with two folks from McKinley Horn, Alan Goff and Cindy Schwarzkopf, who will be focusing on subdivision and road standards. And then Kelly McCormick will be focusing on signs and parking and planned development districts. And Kelly McCormick is a former zoning administrator for the city of Greer, but now does this consulting on the side, very experienced. So this is a very strong team, and I think it will, we look forward to working closely with all of you. For the process, you can see on the screen where we are is the overall ordinance review and comment based on project scope. So right now you see kind of the third arrow on the top. It says Planning Commission, City Council presentation. So last week I was in front of the Planning Commission, and tonight introducing to the City Council. And so as we go forward, you can just kind of see a general overview of how we're going to proceed as we go through chapter by chapter of the ordinance. And we work very closely with staff throughout this process. In fact, our entire team has already been here a few weeks ago, and we had a long tour led by Mike and Monique and Shelley all throughout the city, and saw some of the good, the bad, and the ugly, things that look great, things that maybe need some attention. So it was a really valuable time spent. So we're just kind of getting going. You can kind of see that our general on the left is a schedule. It kind of gives us a broad overview. And then on the right is a much more detailed, and I can provide all this for you. But we're in phase one, initiation and assessment. So we are moving on towards the ordinance drafting here in the next couple of months. The biggest goal of the update is to go through it was last updated in 2012. So, but it's two documents that we're updating, the zoning ordinance and the land development regulations. And those two documents are often, they work together. So it really makes sense to combine that. And that's what most cities do now. They have what they call a unified development ordinance. So we're going to take the land development regulations and intermix it with the zoning ordinance, and that'll be articles in the zoning ordinance. And the land development regulations largely deals with things like subdivision design and road standards. So the Planning Commission is essentially going to be the project steering committee. We're going to meet with them several times throughout this process. Our first meeting last Monday. And that was just an introduction, but moving forward, we're probably going to come to the Planning Commission and talk about specific topics like signs or open space or land use, and they were going to really get in deep with the Planning Commission. But for the City Council, what we'd like to have is just, we will have three meetings coming to City Council. Tonight is the first one. Come back to you, kind of give you an update of where we are, and then at the end, we come to you for adoption. So, but the Planning Commission will be the more hands-on body. But throughout, if there's reason that you want to see us to come forward, please, we can always do that and get your additional guidance. Like I said, the comprehensive plan was approved in 2021, and it had several goals I'm sure you're familiar with, but a lot of them have to do with land use. Meet the future housing needs of the community, strengthen and grow the economy, preserve, protect, and promote the natural and cultural resources, and plan for the future growth and development. And just highlight a few of the recommendations that directly related to land use. Allow zoning that provides for mixed use and housing diversity, support the growing arts community, create zoning options for small planned development districts or cluster developments. Some of those things we have made some progress on, and other things need a lot more attention. So, within the comprehensive plan, in the land use section, we have some broad character areas that kind of describe the city in not just zoning districts, but just how the land is actually being used. And you'll see that list there, and I highlighted a few on the right. And then this is a map that shows that area. And so the focus of the revisions is to, you see a long list there, but ultimately, we want to update all the zoning districts. We want to evaluate the modify and design the overlay requirements. The city has 4 design overlay districts that we want to look at. Do we want to continue to have those overlay districts, or do we incorporate it into new zoning districts, or do away with them? And so that's a big portion of the city's land use and how it gets developed. Look at general development standards. I'll touch on a little bit more later in the presentation, the infill development requirements. I know that's very important and critical for the city, and it's how the things get developed within the neighborhoods. The neighborhoods are a critical component of Cayce, and so it's important that any development keeps that character. Strengthen subdivision regulations and improve the long-term vitality of the neighborhoods. And then for just ease of use in the ordinance, updating the organization and graphics of it. So just touch on very quickly where we are. This is the current zoning ordinance. And so what we did, we looked at kind of a breakdown by acreage. And so just to get a general sense of some of the characteristics of the zoning districts, a few things I just want to point out is some of the zoning districts that have very little acreage, and then some that have very large, and try to figure out why that is, or if those need to be addressed. So you'll see there, neighborhood commercial only 13 acres of the city are zoned neighborhood commercial, and then you look down further, RG1 general residential, again, very small acreage. But general residential high-rise, RG2, has 342. Can those zoning districts be combined? We'll look at that kind of thing. And then finally, development, the D1 development district just takes up an enormous amount. You can see it because it takes up so much of like the Richland County acreage. It's kind of outsized, and what that D1 district was created was whenever it was literally undeveloped land. And so then when the owner came forward to establish a use to that land, the ordinance states future development of this zone will necessitate rezoning in accord with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. So the purpose is to actually establish a use once something gets developed on that property. So it was kind of a holding place. We'll look at that's really something that's moving forward, if that's something that the city really wants. And then just want to highlight kind of another little oddity about the zoning districts is the development agreement district, which you're probably familiar with. It's very specific to Brooklyn Cayce High School. When they built the high school and the arena on Knox Abbott, it was part of that development agreement district. But I think it's all been built out now. So do we still need to keep that, or do we need to actually give it a different zoning district, different uses? Because right now, it's kind of a separate document that's not in the zoning ordinance, is how it's being regulated. And then just touch on a few key issues that we've seen so far. I know, like I said, infill development. The purpose of requiring design standards for infill development is to ensure new developments within existing residential neighborhoods retain the character of that neighborhood. That's straight out of the ordinance. We'll look at that language and work closely with the Planning Commission to see whether that still fits, or do we need to make some modifications to that. Back in 2020, the city actually had a housing moratorium and housing permit moratorium, and during that time, a housing study was done, and so I think it's important to look at some of those recommendations that came out of that housing study, because we did adopt some ordinances directly from that housing study, particularly pertaining to townhomes and putting high standards on those developments. But here's just a highlight of some of those recommendations. Create an option for a small planned development district or cluster development. Allow duplex and triplex buildings as by right in some neighborhoods. Explore the options for residential design guidelines. Create an accessory dwelling unit policy, and create a short-term rental policy. And I know the city has recently adopted a new zoning district that kind of reflects a little bit of the guidance that came from the housing study with the RS4A. So we'll look at that and see if these recommendations are still applicable. But I think it's a good document to serve as a reference for this work. Like I said, the city's got 4 overlay districts, and each of them have different characteristics. Some of them have been around a long time, some are newer, some are adopted for different reasons. So we'll take a look at all the standards that are in those overlay district guidelines and see whether that still matches the character of that property, and whether we need to create new zoning districts, or we need to beef up the overlay districts, or make some modifications. But those are all in critical areas of the city, so it's very important. And of course, we're going to look at new uses, and constantly being new uses coming along. So just highlighted a few there that you see on the screen between vape shops, CBD, marijuana use, and short-term rentals. You also think about like co-work spaces, things that are happening all over the place that may come to Cayce, and so it needs to be addressed, and we need to have standards in the ordinance to allow them under conditions, or whether they go, as y'all probably know, you have uses, they're either permitted with conditions, or permitted with special exception, or not permitted. So that's how we'll proceed moving forward with evaluating the uses that you have and any new uses. And finally, just the ordinance itself needs to be user-friendly. I think citizens need to be able to be familiar with the zoning ordinance and find things, particularly small businesses, as they look at landscape requirements, signs, things that can have a significant impact on their business. But you see, there's really not a lot of graphics and user-friendliness associated with the ordinance right now. And on the right, there's an example at the top is what the landscape buffer looks like. And it's kind of dry and hard to understand, but on the bottom is a kind of a way to improve that by giving some graphics and a better understanding of what would be required as an example for landscape buffers. So, of course, we touched on a lot of other things. Road and street standards, parking minimums are a big deal right now. Landscaping, open space, and tree protection requirements. Planning Commission particularly was interested in that. Signs are always a big deal. Accessory structures, city made lots of revisions to the ordinance on accessory structures, and we'll kind of look to revisit that and see whether that got the job done, or more needs to be done on that. And then, of course, everything we put in the ordinance needs to be enforceable. And so we need feedback from the code enforcement to make sure that everything in the ordinance is clear. How are we going to actually enforce these things? So we'll look at that component of it as a final product. So we will be, and we'll have a booth at the soiree on State. So I look forward to seeing all y'all there. Hope to have more of the team with me. And then April 21st, we'll be back to the Planning Commission, and I'll be working closely with Mike and Monique and Shelley about what we're going to discuss with the Planning Commission. But we'll probably take one of those topics and kind of do a deeper dive and discussion of that. So this is an opportunity for me to hear y'all's guidance and answer any questions you may have.
Council?
None for me. I just got one quick question. Carol, on, I think we're under the slide, unique zoning districts. I swear I don't see it, but I saw it like yesterday, the day before. It said PDD, and it referred to some of the lower lying land down below the Riverwalk, and it said no documentation. Do you recall that slide that used to be there and then now it's not?
I think I kind of slimmed down this presentation from the Planning Commission. It may have been a relic of that, but,
Okay, well, it said PDD, and
yeah. So,
I had somebody ask me, could you just clarify what that means?
Yeah.
Just for whoever's watching.
right.
That.
What
You didn't dream it, Phil.
What
You
slide
didn't
is
dream
that, Hunter?
And the slide numbers, it's right above key issues is all I know if you go up.
Mindy, can you go?
Oh, I changed the presentation. We took, sorry, we took that out because it was somewhat misleading. I think people had questions about it.
Okay.
Okay, if you'd rather just table your answer.
I might let staff kind of explain that. So it's real particular. We just know that it's an area of emphasis that we need to look at, but I think Mike and Monique can give you a little more clarity about exactly, for those particular pieces of property, and they can kind of shed some light on that.
Thank you. Very good.
Awesome, thank you. Anything else? Thank you so much, Carol.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, next we have discussion and approval of ordinance 2025-03, establishing new municipal district/ward lines for the election of council members reflecting population changes in the year 2020 census, and repealing all previous ordinances establishing district/ward lines. This is the second reading.
Madam Mayor, members of council, after the last meeting, we went back to the RFA to try to work some of those neighborhood lines again. They were produced draft number 8. Draft number 8 came back above the 10% deviation. RFA recommends that we stay with draft number 7. We mailed those letters out late Thursday afternoon of stuffing all those letters. Staff did a great job. And we sent those letters, so staff recommends that we defer this to the next meeting on March 19th to make sure our citizens receive those letters and ask any questions if they have them.
Thank you. Is there a motion to postpone until March 17th?
Move that we
19th.
19th, thank you, yep.
move that we postpone ordinance 2025-03 to the March 19th meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'd just like to thank staff for getting those out, and we had to have it on the agenda tonight because that's when it got postponed to last time, but staff has done a great job of looking into the different iterations, and as I think we've heard, the Fiscal Affairs doesn't normally do 8 drafts, and they have done that for us to try to make things work as best as possible, but there are letters that are going out to our citizens today, so if you get them and you have questions, feel free to call, but this will be postponed to the next meeting. That will be the second reading, and if it goes through, then that is the final reading on this issue. So, I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Socks?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, thank you, so moved. We have discussion and approval to enter into a contract with Raftellus Financial Consultants Incorporated for financial consulting.
Mayor, member of council, council approval is needed to authorize the city manager to execute a master agreement with our Raftellus Financial Consultants. Raftellus Financial Consultants Incorporated was engaged with Pope Flynn during the FY24 to perform a utility rate study for the city's water and sewer utility funds. Periodic reviews and updates to the rate study are required. To continue utilizing the services of Raftellus for future financial consulting, the city must contract directly with Raftellus. The city is allowed to waive the formal bid process for professional services established by Ordinance Section 2-144. Staff recommends council waive the formal bid process and allow the city manager to execute a master agreement with Raftellus Financial Consulting Incorporated.
Thank you. Is there a motion for the staff recommendation?
Move that we approve the staff recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I make a motion for a second for conversation.
Okay, we have a second. Discussion? You made the motion, you get to speak first.
Are there any other, are we, is this a, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That's okay. Go ahead. Y'all do down there.
I was saying I didn't have anything, so based on the rules, it goes to me for making the motion then.
I'm sorry. You're going I'm yielding to you. Anybody?
That was me saying I have nothing.
Are there any other companies that do this, Jim, or is this the only company that does this?
Pope Firm recommended them when we were contracted with Pope, right, Mike, at that time? And they're the one that did the rate study, so they follow up with their own rates and their own conversions. And it's a yearly update, so they review what we've already received.
And so we didn't go with any other company or allow another company to bid?
We would go with this company because they've already done the study for us.
Yeah, I understand that. But how many years have we gone with them, and should we put it out?
This is the first year. Last year was the first year that we
Yeah,
did.
last year was the first year.
Right.
Yeah. Who was before them?
We didn't do one for a while. I don't know when the last one was done with the city.
So we didn't have to do one for years. We did one last year, and we got to do one again this year?
It's not, it's just a rate study of what they've already done, what they've already produced, the information that they've already given us. So we had the contract with Pope, now we're going with Raftellus directly.
I just fail to see the need of why we need it personally.
Can you help us understand, or Mike, who understands why we need this information?
At this type price?
They would do periodic reviews after every annual review of the rates that we've already set. So they would review those rates that we've already done.
Mike, if you're going to speak, please come up here.
This is part of the discussion they had when they went through the rate study last year, that they would come back annually and verify the information that they had for the rate study, look at the budget, and make sure that the budget is coordinated to the rate studies. A lot of it has debt service that we have to do. This is pretty standard. And if we went with another company, they would have to go back and basically verify everything that Raftellus built off of last year. They're just building off of this as they're continuing through the process. But
And what's the total sum you're looking for, Mike?
what is
See,
it?
the staff recommends City Council waive the formal bid process so that you can move forward to execute the agreement. For how much?
Let me pull that up real quick. It should have been in there. I thought it was.
I don't see it, that's the reason
I don't
I'm.
think it's in
I'm
there.
at- Does anybody else see it? What kind of
No,
money
that's
we're
what I was,
talking?
I was wondering what you were talking about for, you said for that much, and I was like, for how much?
That's my whole reason for causing a pause here. I don't know what we're voting for.
The compensation article just says it's an hourly rate and invoices monthly and, boilerplate stuff. It don't give up a real number.
So we recall last year? Do we recall Raftellus presenting last year?
Yes, they presented at the
Work session.
work session.
They presented multiple times last year,
And then they,
but you want to?
Sure. Mayor and council, I can clarify that this would be a master agreement, and if you look at, on page 1, Article 3, compensation, this contemplates that when they come to provide services, they would have a task order that listed the price for those services. And if it's something within the budget, then staff would have approval to move forward with it. If it's under the limit of the procurement ordinance, anything beyond that, staff would need to come back to council for approval. But this would set the overall terms of what they would be doing.
Any other discussion? Does council have concerns? Do they need to understand why we're doing it, what happens if we don't do it?
There's probably many questions, Mayor, but I know we have a motion. I would request giving staff some more time to come back to us with what our concerns and questions are, unless you want to go ahead and call it for a vote.
I know y'all have to tell me, but some of the concern is we have to do the utility rates ahead of time because of our large purchaser, the town of Lexington, and the Joint Municipal Water Sewer Commission need those rates earlier. Do we have time to postpone this?
We will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that council's preference?
I'm fine with that. Do I need to change the motion, or
You can
so do I
withdraw
need
your
to-
motion if you want.
I'll just withdraw the motion then?
Tim, are you okay withdrawing your second?
I didn't second it. Oh, did I? I did, I'm sorry. I did. I seconded it just for, yes, great. Yes, I am, thank you.
Okay.
So it would need to be the next meeting?
We will.
Okay. Then I move that we postpone, I don't have the item number, but
For March 19th?
Yes, so go with 5A.
I move that we postpone item 5A to the March 19th meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Then I will ask the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Socks?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, thank you, so moved. Next, we have approval to enter the following committee-approved minutes into the city's record. You have before you Planning Commission from December 16th, 2024, Cayce Museum Commission from January 8th, Events Committee from January 9th, and Planning Commission from January 27th.
Motion to move all into record, please.
Second.
Okay, the motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Socks?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, thank you, so moved. Next, we have the city manager's report.
City manager report, the Gateway project for Airport Boulevard went out for bid on Friday. Planning on bringing that back to council in April. Making good progress on the sewer line repair on 7th Avenue. We'll also bring that back to council on March 19th for ratification. Amanda Rowan, our deputy clerk, has graduated from the South County Municipal Clerks and Treasurers Institute. Graduation from the institute requires participants to complete more than 120 hours of classroom instruction on topics such as business license management, accounting, and municipal law. Congratulations to Amanda. City Parks is replacing the Bradford pears on Charleston Highway at Fairlawn Circle with hardwoods. This is no cost for the trees for the city of Cayce. And all parks are closed tomorrow due to the weather, expecting some high winds, so we make sure we practice our safety, so.
Thank you. Any council comments this evening?
I'm Council.
I got a couple, Mayor. Jim, on, I think, third week of February, February 23rd, I forwarded you and Mike an email from a constituent inquiring about our city's recognition and response to college population, what other some cities are doing as far as college population and the influx. And we've got Cayce Cove, we've got Radley, and we've got rental homes throughout the avenues. I'd like to move forward with a meeting with you guys, and let's start letting our citizens know what we are doing. I know last year, or maybe even 18 months ago, we passed an ordinance about no parking on the front yards for rental homes. You know, how is that going? How many have we enforced? These continue to be questions from constituents, such as the email that I forwarded. And it may be time that we just even make a presentation on what that looks like and what we're doing as far as that goes. It also feeds into, I think, the concerns that we hear about VRBOs, Airbnbs, and how we're enforcing those as well. So I'd like to follow up on that if we can. And the other thing, we're going to be cranking the budget machine up soon.
Yes, sir.
This year, I'd really like for us to be able to mirror what our true feelings are from council, and that's human resources is our #1 resource. And let's place the COLA in at the very beginning of the budget process, not 3/4 way down. Let's go ahead and Lynn, I'm looking at you. Thank you for last year and what you did about taking out the bottom bars, the bottom grades. I think we did a good job of being able to try to repair a lot of that. But now, let's don't wait 3/4 of the way in to start contemplating what COLA is. Why don't we put that in at the very beginning? If staff recommends a 3% or a 4%, let's figure out what that is and put that in at the very beginning. And that's one person's suggestion. Love to be able to hear what the rest of council has to say about that as well. But I think it's important enough that we don't wait till later in the budget process to begin talking about COLAs. And then finally, again, congratulations. It's a gift. Thank you.
First, I just want to thank my amazing wife, Rebecca Thomas, for allowing me to be here today, because we have a newborn baby and she's a lot of energy. So thank you to the love of my life for allowing me to be here today, because if she was the one that kicked me out of the house. So it's truly an honor to be here. But to echo Mayor Pro Tem James's comments, I got to volunteer over the weekend with the cleanup at One Love in regards to the mural. And Thomas, who is head of our sanitation, we got to have a great conversation, and he just told me how much the men and women that were at the bottom levels, how much they appreciated us cutting the 2 lower levels to bring up our minimum to $35,000 at minimum, and how much they appreciated that. So just hearing that and hearing those comments from Mayor Pro Tem, I definitely would love to see us work when it comes to the budget season to make sure that we're giving the COLAs, to make sure we're always showing our staff and everyone in the city of Cayce how much we appreciate our staff. So I can't wait to have those discussions. So I can't wait to see that, Jim. And also, as we have these talks with the rezoning of the districts, I just want the people to know that, you know, District 2, we do need more people. That is out of my control. But I am very excited to welcome people from other districts into District 2. We have in the audience Ashley Brown and Donna Ziegler from Riverland Park, and they can be first testaments to tell anyone that whenever they call me or message me, I pick up the phone and I'm very responsive. And I want people to know, if you come into District 2, I'm honored to serve you. I'm honored to listen to you and just be honest about what I can do. But if anything, to connect you to the higher levels that be, whether it's county council, your state house rep or state senator, or your federal congressman or U.S. senators. So I'm here to serve you. I'm here to be honest with you and to work for you. So District 2 welcomes you into District 2. I don't want there to be any fear that District 2 is not going to love you and appreciate you and accept you. We're going to love you, and we're going to work to continue to make District 2 the best district in the city of Cayce. And finally, I know everyone's very excited for the soiree on State coming up, but something that I saw last year that I've been working with staff to kind of help change is that I saw the events committee, I saw the Beautification Foundation and the Police Foundation all working hard to, you know, get out their message of what they're doing for the city. But sadly, they didn't get an invitation to the VIP tent. So this year, working with Mindy, who is always a rock star, staff kind of informed me that we can make it happen where if you are on the events committee, Beautification Foundation, the Police Foundation, and you're working that day, you'll get one entry into the VIP tent because you are VIP for the city. And once again, we can never tell you thank you enough for your service for our beautiful city. So make sure you come and serve on the soiree on State and come have a good time because you are VIP. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just need to get some clarification on something. I had to make my bi-monthly trip across the river to get my hair cut. And I noticed the contractor was out pulling some new fiber optic cable on Knox Ave, but could you follow up on that and please tell me they're putting it on the new poles and not the old poles?
They are.
Thank you. I will sleep well this night. Thank you for that. I'm done, Mayor. Thank you. That made my night.
Thank you. So mark your calendars, soiree on State, March 22nd, 2 to 8. Our amazing staff has been working nonstop to create that family-friendly fun for everybody. Come out, bring your friends. It's a great time. We know that you'll love being out there. Our entire team is out there. You'll get to dance in the street with our team and have a great time. That also is a great economic development engine and brings more businesses. And this morning I got to be on the radio at the Chamber, thanks to Tim James, and talk about that coming up and what that, it looks like just a fun street party, but it is secretly an economic development engine and has helped to bring a lot of small businesses into our city and continues to do so. So thank you again for that opportunity. It was so fun this morning to be with Amanda Rowan. She was on the radio with us, and she represented the city well and got told she has an amazing radio voice. She really does. They tried to recruit her away from us. I know, and we said, no, you cannot have her. Amanda's ours. But that was super fun to be out there this morning. It really was great. A great opportunity to talk about the soiree. The other thing is, favor to ask you guys, go online to the Lexington Chronicle, thank you, the Lexington Chronicle, and vote for the best, Lexington Best of 2025. We have lots of people. Chief, would you stand up? Chief Bullard is one who's up. Let's go vote for Chief Bullard. You can also vote for Sergeant Mandy Fournier and Hudson, our favorite therapy dog. The soiree on State, I believe, is up there as Best Festival. Please go vote for that because we know it is the best. Go vote for our Riverwalk. You guys tell us all the time how much you love it. Please vote for it so it gets that great recognition and helps to recruit more people to come down to the Riverwalk. So go do that. You can vote every single day. There's no price. There's no thing you have to sign up for. So just go vote and do that every day between now and the deadline. Let's get our great team out there to celebrate them and to lift them up some more. So thank you. All right, we have executive session for discussion of Lexington County economic development projects relating to the proposed location, expansion, or the provision of services, encouraging location or expansion of industries or other businesses within the city. And we have receipt of legal advice and discussion of proposed contractual arrangements relating to Avenues Drainage Project, SCDOT intergovernmental agreement regarding the Avenues Drainage Project. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session for said reasons?
I move that we enter executive session for said reasons.
Second.
I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Councilmember Socks.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, thank you, so moved.
Will all their monitors come on?
Good. Okay, so we need a motion to come out of executive session.
Motion to come out of executive session, Mayor.
Second.
Thank you. I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Socks?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, thank you. So moved. So no action was taken in executive session except to come out of executive session. Next on the agenda, we have discussion and approval of ordinance 2025-01, amending the zoning map and rezoning property located on Dixiana Road. This is for tax map number 006899-01-027 from M1 to M2. This is the second reading.
Mayor, members of council, council approval is needed for the second reading of an ordinance to rezone property located on Dixiana Road and further identified as the tax map number that you just read from M1 to M2. The applicant owner has requested the rezoning of approximately 82 acres of Dixiana Road from M1 to M2. The requested M2 zoning is compatible with the city's comprehensive plan and future land use map. The Planning Commission reviewed the proposed map amendments at its regularly scheduled meeting on December 16, 2024. No public comments were made in favor or against the proposed changes. Planning Commission unanimously recommended that council approve the rezoning of tax map number 006899-01-027 from M1 to M2, second reading.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2025-01, amending the zoning map and rezoning property located on Dixiana Road, tax map number as given by the city manager, from
Second.
M1 to M2.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Socks?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, thank you. So moved. Next, we have discussion and approval of ordinance 2025-02, annexing two properties located on Dixiana Road. This is for tax map number 006899-01-029 and 006899-01-030, and assigning M2 zoning designations. This is the second reading.
Council approval is needed for the second reading of an ordinance to annex properties located on Dixiana Road and assign them to M2 zoning designation. The applicant owners requested annexation of two parcels on Dixiana Road totaling approximately 14.6 acres. In addition to annexation, the applicant seeks an M2 zoning designation for these properties. The requested M2 zoning aligns with the city's comprehensive plan and future land use map. If approved, these parcels will be incorporated into the applicant's larger 82-acre property on Dixiana Road. The Planning Commission reviewed the proposed map amendments at its regularly scheduled meeting on December 16, 2024. No public comments were made in favor or against the proposed changes. The Planning Commission unanimously recommends that the City Council approve the annexation of tax map numbers 006899-01-029 and 006899-01-030 and assign the M2 zoning designation for second reading.
Motion to approve ordinance 2025-02, annexing the two properties on Dixiana Road that are aforementioned with the last three numbers of 029 and 030, and assigning them as M2.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Socks?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, thank you. So moved. Next, we have possible actions by council and follow-up to executive session. There is a bid award for one or more phases of Avenues Drainage Project.
I move that we authorize the city manager to negotiate an award of a contract for Division A with McClam & Associates as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Socks?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, thank you. So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Socks?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, thank you, so moved. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.